The girl inside the glass cage. No one could understand what she was. No one could explain why she didn't move, but everyone feared her. She floated in the center of a large glass cage, deep inside Lunar Base Station 17. Her body didn't touch the floor. Her silver-white hair moved slowly, like it was swimming through water. Her eyes were closed, and her skin glowed with soft blue light. Strange alien symbols hovered around her body, symbols that no scientist could translate. She looked peaceful, beautiful, almost like she was sleeping. But everyone knew the truth. If you touched her, you turned to dust. It had already happened 6 times. 6 people had tried to test the limits. Some were soldiers. Some were scientists. All of them disappeared the moment their skin touched the glass. All that remained was a pile of fine gray ash and the echo of their screams. "Don't get close to the cage," Commander Rena warned the new arrivals. Her voice was sharp. "She's not human. She's not friendly. She's not safe." Daniel Cross stood at the back of the group. He was not a soldier or a scientist, just a technician, a repairman for cameras and pressure valves. He had been sent here after a power failure in the outer wing. He wasn't supposed to see the girl. He wasn't supposed to know about her. But now he couldn't stop staring. She didn't look like a monster. She looked sad. The others didn't notice, but Daniel did. Her fingers moved sometimes, just a little. Her face twitched like she was having a bad dream. She wasn't just floating. She was trapped. Later that night, Daniel asked one of the scientists about her. "Where did she come from?" he asked quietly. The scientist shook his head. "We found her near Saturn. Her ship was broken. She was the only one inside. No ID. No language we could translate. When we touched her, people started dying." Daniel paused. "Has anyone talked to her?" "She hasn't spoken a single word," the man replied. "We tried everything. Music, holograms, neural signals. Nothing. She just floats there, like a ghost." That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about her face. She didn't look evil. She looked lonely. The next day, Daniel had work in Sector 4, the same area as the glass cage. The hallway lights were flickering, and he was fixing the cables in the ceiling. As he climbed down the ladder, he heard a low hum. The sound was coming from her chamber. He turned. The glass was glowing brighter than before. The symbols were spinning faster. Then, for the first time, her eyes opened. Daniel froze. Her eyes were shining silver. They looked straight at him, not at the cameras, not at the guards. At him. He felt something strange, a pulse in his head, a voice, but not a sound. It was like a whisper inside his brain. "Help me." Daniel's legs moved on their own. Step by step, he walked toward the glass. Guards saw him and yelled, but he didn't hear them. Alarms started to ring, but he didn't stop. "Stop him!" Commander Rena screamed, but he was already at the cage. Everyone held their breath. Daniel raised his hand, and he touched the glass. The room went silent. No scream, no ashes, no explosion. He was still standing, still breathing. Inside the cage, the alien girl pressed her hand against the glass, right where his hand was. The 2 hands met, one inside, one outside. And then, softly, she spoke for the first time. "Safe." Every camera recorded it. Every scientist stared in shock. No one had seen anything like it. Daniel looked around. What just happened?" he whispered. The girl looked into his eyes. "You are the first," she said. "The first who does not burn." And then the lights exploded. The base shook. Sirens blared. Something was coming. Something terrible. And the girl inside the glass. She closed her eyes again, but this time, a single tear rolled down her cheek. Daniel stood frozen. He didn't know it yet, but everything had just changed. The human who didn't die. The room was chaos. Alarms screamed. Red lights flashed across the ceiling. Soldiers pointed weapons at Daniel, shouting orders. But he couldn't move, not because he was scared, but because her hand was still pressed against his. She looked at him like she had known him forever. Not like a stranger, not like an experiment, but like hope. "Step away from the glass," Commander Rena shouted, her voice full of panic. "Now, step away or we fire." Daniel turned his head slowly, confused. "She spoke to me. She called me safe. She's manipulating you." A soldier yelled. "That thing is dangerous." But Saurin didn't move. She didn't attack. Her hand just stayed on the glass, fingers softly matching Daniel's, and her glowing silver eyes stayed locked on his. "Do you hear me?" She whispered again, but not with her mouth. It was her voice, inside his mind. "They don't understand, but you do. You're the first one who can hear me. The first who didn't turn to dust." Daniel's breath caught. "Why me?" "Because you were not made by design. You were made by chaos. That's why you can touch me." Then the air exploded. Gas canisters burst through the vents. A white cloud filled the hallway. Daniel coughed, fell back, and lost sight of the girl as armed soldiers stormed forward. He was pulled away, locked in metal cuffs, and dragged down the hall. The last thing he saw before passing out was her eyes still watching him through the fog. Hours later, Daniel woke up inside a cold metal room. The walls were silver. The door had no handle, only a red light blinking slowly. His head hurt. His arms were sore. And there was someone waiting. Dr. Mira Holden, the base's top alien scientist, sat on the other side of the table, tapping a pen against a tablet. "I saw the footage," she said calmly. "You touched her. She touched you back. And you're still alive. That makes you very special." Daniel sat up slowly. "She wasn't trying to hurt me." Dr. Holden raised an eyebrow. 6 trained officers turned to dust. "But you get a soft look and a word like safe. That's not normal." "She spoke to me," Daniel said, out loud. "No, in my mind." That made her pause. "Telepathic communication." He nodded. "She said, I wasn't made by design. That's why I can touch her." Dr. Holden leaned forward, whispering, "Do you know what that means?" Daniel shook his head. "It means you're compatible. You're the first human she didn't reject. And now the military wants to run every test on you. Blood, brain, DNA, everything. You're not just a man now. You're a key." Meanwhile, in the glass chamber, Saurin floated again, still and silent. But something had changed. Her skin, once glowing blue, now pulsed with faint gold. The spinning alien symbols around her had slowed. Her breathing, once still as death, now moved gently through her chest. And inside her mind, she whispered Daniel's name, because she had felt something. Something she wasn't supposed to feel. Trust. Back in the lab, Commander Rena stormed into the lab room. "He's not a soldier. He's a mechanic. You want to trust the fate of the station to a guy who fixes wires." Dr. Holden replied coldly, "He's the only one she didn't kill. We need to move her to the secure vault. No more contact." "But what if she's trying to help us?" Holden asked. "What if this isn't a weapon, but a warning?" Rena didn't answer. Her earpiece beeped. She turned pale. "We have incoming," she whispered. "Multiple unidentified objects, headed straight for Lunar Base." Hours later, Cell Block 4. Daniel sat on the floor, deep in thought, when the red light above the door turned green. The door opened. Saurin was standing there. Not floating, not glowing wildly. Just standing. Her bare feet touched the cold floor. Her eyes looked tired. And she spoke, this time aloud, her voice soft like a broken song. "They found me." Daniel jumped up. "What? Who?" She looked at him with sadness. "My people didn't want me anymore, so they sent others. Hunters. Shadows. They kill anything in their path. Why are they coming now? Because I touched you, she said. And that changed everything. Suddenly, explosions echoed through the station. Red lights turned white. Alarms changed to war sirens. And outside, black ships appeared in the sky, hovering like ghosts, without sound, without warning. The hunters had arrived. As soldiers ran to defense stations and scientists screamed orders, Daniel and Sarin stood together in the empty hallway. You said I'm different, he asked, voice shaking. So what do I do now? She reached out, not through glass, not through mind, but with her hand. And Daniel took it, without pain, without death. For the first time in history, a human and a cursed alien walked side by side. And whatever was coming, they would face it together. The curse of her touch. Boom. Another explosion shook the lunar base walls. Dust fell from the ceiling. Lights flickered. Inside the narrow hallway, Daniel gripped Sarin's hand tightly. She was warm, alive, real, and still not harming him. His skin didn't burn. His body didn't fade. She wasn't a monster. She was something else. We have to get out of here, Daniel said. Sarin nodded slowly, her silver eyes glowing brighter. They'll destroy everything. They always do. Who are they? He asked as they ran through the dark corridors. The Nullborn, she whispered. They erase life. They are not soldiers. They are correction. Daniel didn't understand, but he didn't let go. Flashback from Sarin's mind. As they ran, Sarin showed Daniel a vision inside his head, like a dream, but clearer. Her world had been made of crystal cities and flying lights. Her people, tall, elegant, glowing, had built wonders across galaxies, but they feared imperfection. So, when one child was born, touched by chaos, with a strange light in her, they locked her away. That child was Sarin. Her body began rejecting others. Anyone who touched her died instantly. Her DNA was no longer pure. They said she was cursed. Her parents gave her to the science priests. They turned her into a defense mechanism, a living weapon, a danger locked in a cage. And when her planet was attacked, her people fled, but left her behind. Only her escape pod survived the war, floating for years, until Earth found her. Back to reality. Daniel blinked, shaken by the memories she showed him. They did this to you, he whispered. Sarin nodded. They feared what I might become, if I ever felt love, if I ever became free. Is that why you didn't hurt me? She looked at him. Because you don't feel like the others. You feel alive, wild, warm, real. Your chaos is healing me. Daniel's chest tightened. You're not a weapon. But she shook her head. I am. And I'm also more. But if I stay close to you, I change. I become soft. I become myself. Meanwhile, Command Center. Commander Reyna watched the radar screen. They've breached outer shields. A soldier screamed. The black ships weren't firing lasers. They were absorbing energy from the base, feeding on it. And now, they were releasing drones, silver spheres floating into the corridors. These things don't want her back, Dr. Halden said in horror. They want to erase her, wipe her existence completely. She broke the law of her creators, Reyna whispered. She touched a human. She's not cursed anymore. She's evolved. Reyna slammed her fist down. Get me that technician, and get me the girl. But they were already gone. Inside the abandoned wing, Daniel and Sarin slipped into an old sealed section of the base. Broken metal, flickering lights, silence. It had been closed for years. This way, Daniel said. No one comes here. Sarin stopped suddenly. She knelt and placed her hand on the floor. The metal changed color, like it was reacting to her. A round platform lit up beneath their feet, A hidden lift rose from the ground. Daniel stared. "What is this?" "This base is built on something older," she said. "Something buried. Even you don't know it." They stepped onto the platform. It sank downward, deep into the moon. Deeper than any human had gone before. Underground chamber, the mirror room. The platform stopped in a dark, glowing chamber. Hundreds of mirrors floated in midair, spinning slowly. Each one showed a different version of Saren. One was crying. One was burning. One was smiling. One was human. "What is this place?" Daniel asked. Saren walked to a mirror that showed her with Daniel, laughing under a tree. "This is the future that shouldn't exist," she whispered. "A future where I'm free. Where I love. Where I live." Suddenly, all the mirrors shattered. The ground shook again. Above them, the hunters were getting closer. The reveal. Daniel pulled her close. "We have to fight back." She looked down. "I was made to destroy, not protect." "But you're already changing," he said. "Your skin isn't glowing as much. You're walking. You're feeling. You're not a curse anymore." Tears formed in her eyes. "Then why do I still feel pain?" "Because that's how you know you're alive." She looked at him for a long moment, then placed her hand on his chest. And for the first time, Daniel felt her heartbeat. Soft, real, fragile, and it was in sync with his. Final scene. They rose back up to the base surface, together. Above, the black ships were breaking through. The world believed she was a weapon. But now, for the first time, she had a reason to fight. Not to kill, but to protect. She looked at Daniel. "You're my anchor." He nodded. "And you're my spark." Then they walked toward the battlefield, side by side. And behind them, every broken mirror began to rebuild. The hunters have arrived. The moon trembled, not from earthquakes, but from ships that were not supposed to exist. They hovered above Lunar Base Station 17 like ghosts, black, silent, and smooth as stone. No engines, no windows, just giant shadowy forms that blocked the stars. Everyone in the base stared at the sky, frozen. The radar showed no signal. The radio screamed static, but the danger was real. "Are they jamming our systems?" a young tech officer asked. Commander Rena didn't answer. She was too busy watching the live feed from the upper deck, where the first of the Nullborn hunters had arrived. First contact. The outer hatch opened with a hiss. No air escaped. It had already been taken. Inside the hallway, 5 soldiers waited with plasma rifles raised. Nervous fingers, dry mouths. Then they saw it. A tall, dark figure stepped through the mist. It had no face. Only smooth black skin, like liquid armor, shaped into a nightmare. It didn't walk. It glided. Its hands were too long. Its neck too thin. And behind it, 3 floating silver drones spun in the air, scanning everything. A voice boomed, not from its mouth, but inside everyone's head. The error must be deleted. The lights went out. The screams began. Daniel and Saren, running out of time. Far below, Daniel and Saren felt the tremble in the floor. "They're here," she said. Her voice was colder than before. "You've faced them before?" Daniel asked. She nodded. "I escaped from one of their cleansing fleets. That's how I ended up in the ship you found." Daniel looked worried. "And you survived." "I didn't win. I just ran faster than the others." They climbed through broken vents and maintenance shafts. The old sections of the base were falling apart, but they were the only way to avoid detection. As they moved, Saren's body flickered with dim blue light again. "You're changing back," Daniel whispered. She stopped and touched her arm. "The presence of the Nullborn is triggering the old defenses in my body." "Is that bad?" "Yes. If it fully reactivates, I won't be able to touch you anymore." Back in Command Center, Commander Rena watched camera feeds showing chaos. Every guard they sent was erased by a touch. Not injured, not burned. Erased. No blood, no body. Just fine black dust left behind. Dr. Halden stared at the readings. They're not just killing. They're cleansing the timeline, removing traces of what they call error. And Sci is the error? Reyna asked. Halden nodded. No, she's the key. An evolution they never expected. Something that breaks their design. She touched a human. And nothing happened, Reyna said slowly. To them, that's impossible. That's not impossible, Halden replied. That's hope. Underground Hall of Echoes. Daniel and Sci finally reached a hidden underground chamber. This one was different. It wasn't alien. It was human. A bunker. Old. Maybe even older than the moon base. On the walls were strange carvings, circles, stars, lines. And in the center, a giant metal door with a symbol on it. Sci stepped forward and touched it. It responded. The door opened, revealing a sphere of light floating in the air. Daniel stepped closer. What is this place? Sci's voice shook. A forbidden link. A relic of an ancient Earth experiment. Your people tried to contact others once. Not with words, but with dreams. Daniel stared at the sphere. It's alive. Yes. It's a consciousness. A memory crystal. Sci said. It records echoes. I think it called to my ship. That's why I crashed near Earth. Suddenly, the sphere spoke. Not in words, but in feelings. It recognized them both. Daniel. Sci. It called them the bridge. A moment later, a wave of golden light washed over the room. Sci gasped. Her skin stopped glowing blue. Daniel touched her face. No reaction. No burning. She was normal. Human normal. Above, the invasion deepens. The nullborn spread across the station. Searching. Erasing. Feeding on signals and power. They stopped in front of the cryolabs. Old tanks lined the walls. Inside one tank, a small alien child floated, eyes closed. She was another prisoner, like Sci had once been. The lead hunter raised a hand. A white pulse shot out, ready to erase the child. But before it hit, bang, a bullet struck the drone from behind. The nullborn turned. Standing there, holding an old human rifle, was Commander Reyna, and behind her, the remaining soldiers, ready to die standing. Daniel makes a choice. Back underground, Daniel and Sci stared at the light. It stabilized you, Daniel said. Why? Because you accepted me, she replied. That's what they fear. The connection between two different species. Love. Unity. That's what breaks their system. Daniel clenched his fists. Then let's break it. He turned to the memory sphere. Can it fight? Sci closed her eyes. No, but it can amplify. Amplify what? Me. As the nullborn closed in, the base shook again, this time from deep below. A light exploded from the floor. The walls turned gold. From the elevator shaft, Sci rose, floating, but no longer alone. She was surrounded by golden symbols, her body now balanced between alien and human. Daniel stood behind her, his hand glowing with the same light. The nullborn turned toward them. And for the first time in their eternal existence, they hesitated. The secret beneath Earth. No one knew what was buried under the moon. Not the scientists. Not the commanders. Not even the alien girl who had floated for years inside a cage of glass. But now it was waking up. Above ground, frozen in fear. The nullborn hunters paused mid-step. Their glowing arms, once raised for destruction, slowly lowered. Their dark forms vibrated, like they were feeling something new, something they didn't understand. Sci floated just above the metal floor. Her body now shimmered gold instead of deadly blue. Her skin was smooth. Her eyes were glowing with twin suns. Daniel stood behind her, his hand locked inside hers. He felt no fear. Because for the first time, he wasn't the weak one. He was the reason she was evolving. And she was about to show them something their creators had never planned for. Far below, the core memory. The golden memory sphere from the ancient bunker pulsed again, brighter than before. Sa-Rin turned to Daniel. "There is something else," she whispered. "Something deeper. I can feel it." Daniel frowned. "Below us?" She nodded. "The light from this memory orb. It's not the source. It's a signal." Together, they touched the orb again. And suddenly, the floor beneath them opened. Metal platforms folded away like paper. A long spiral staircase appeared, leading into the dark. "Are you ready?" Daniel asked. Sa-Rin didn't answer with words. She just took his hand. And together, they walked into the heart of Earth's forgotten history. The chamber that time forgot. They descended into a vast chamber, so big it looked like a city. But there were no buildings. Just machines, sleeping, silent, ancient. Massive wheels spun slowly in the dark. Giant metal columns hummed quietly. And in the center of it all was a pedestal holding a black cube. It didn't glow. It didn't hum. But Daniel felt it watching him. Sa-Rin stepped forward, stunned. This isn't alien. This was made by your people. Long ago." Daniel's heart pounded. "Before modern humans." Yes, a lost generation, hidden by time. They built this for something greater. The memory of humanity. As they approached the cube, it lit up, not with light, but with sound. Voices, thousands of them, laughing, singing, crying, shouting. Daniel saw flashes, visions in the air. Humans flying without ships, humans with golden tattoos, lifting stones with their hands. A human woman, pregnant with glowing twins, standing beside an alien king. A war, a betrayal, a great silence. Then it ended. And the cube spoke, not in English, not in alien language, but in feeling. And this time, Daniel understood. You were forgotten, but never erased. You are the spark, the chaos, the final answer to perfect control, the origin of the curse. Sa-Rin gasped. Her body shook. "The curse on my skin," she whispered. "It wasn't made by my people. It was taken from yours." "What do you mean?" Daniel asked. She turned to him. "The Nullborn stole it. They took a defense system meant for ancient humans, twisted it, weaponized it, and used it against me." Daniel clenched his fists. So Earth wasn't just a random planet. It was the first threat to their system. "And you," she said softly, touching his heart, "are their greatest fear." Meanwhile, collapse at the base. Back at the surface, chaos ruled. The Nullborn began to glitch. Their black forms cracked like broken glass. They screamed in silence, something about the energy coming from below. It was poison to them. Commander Rena washed from the war room. "Dr. Halden, what is that energy? Why are they retreating?" Halden stared at the monitor, tears in her eyes. "It's human, and it's pure chaos. The one thing they cannot erase." Sa-Rin's choice. Back in the ancient chamber, the cube slowly cracked open. Inside it floated a crystal, the size of a heart, beating softly with golden light. "This is the source," Sa-Rin said. "The first bond between your people and mine. A gift left behind." The moment her fingers touched the crystal, her body lit up like a sun. The curse vanished completely. And in its place, power awakened. She looked human now, but also more. Stronger, brighter, alive. Daniel stepped forward, smiling. "You're glowing again." "Not with death," she said, "but with choice." Suddenly, the ground shook violently. A final Nullborn ship had begun charging a planetary eraser, something meant to vaporize the entire moon. Daniel and Saorin rushed upward, climbing the old metal stairs. And as they reached the top, Saorin turned. "This place has shown me what I truly am," she said. "Not a weapon, not a prisoner, not even just a girl." Daniel nodded. "Then who are you?" She smiled softly, her silver eyes warm. "I am the future." Then she rose into the air. And above them, a golden light pierced the sky. The bond that changed everything. The golden light spread like sunrise through the darkest parts of Lunar Base Station 17. Wherever it touched, it calmed the chaos. Flickering lights steadied. Cracked walls began to seal. Even the nullborn drones hovering in the air began to retreat like shadows before daylight. And at the center of it all floated Saorin, no longer a prisoner, no longer cursed. She wasn't glowing in pain or fear. She was glowing in life. Her skin now carried both the ancient symbols of her people and faint golden patterns matching the human energy source buried beneath the moon. She was becoming something new. The reunion. Daniel stood at the edge of the landing platform, waiting, his eyes wide. When Saorin returned from the chamber, her feet didn't touch the floor. She floated gently toward him, surrounded by shimmering light, her hair flowing like sunlight in water. He took a step forward, hesitant. You look different." She smiled. "I feel different. Not broken. Not dangerous. Whole." Daniel slowly reached out. Her fingers met his. No sparks. No burning. No fear. Only warmth. "I can feel you," he whispered. "Your hand, your heartbeat." Her eyes softened. "Because for the first time, I'm no longer alone in my design." Back in the control room, Commander Reyna stood beside Dr. Halden, staring at the main screen. The last of the nullborn ships hovered above, charging one final weapon, its energy spiking beyond known limits. "This isn't just a planetary eraser," Halden said, her voice shaky. "This is a timeline eraser. They're not trying to kill us. They're trying to delete this version of history." "Can we stop it?" Reyna asked. Halden turned slowly. "Maybe, but only if Saorin and Daniel do it together. They've become the center of a ripple. They're what the future pivots on now." "And if they fail?" Halden didn't answer. But everyone in the room knew the truth. The bond awakens. As Daniel and Saorin walked side by side down the long silver bridge toward the defense tower, the light from both their bodies pulsed in sync. They didn't talk. They didn't need to. The bond between them had become more than emotion. It was energy, purpose, balance. Daniel's body, once weak compared to Saorin's, was now strong. His blood carried something new, some kind of coded light. It flowed from the crystal they had touched beneath the moon. "Are you scared?" he asked gently. "Yes," she replied, "but not of death. I'm scared of losing this. Of losing you." Daniel took her hand. "Then don't. We finish this together. The final assault begins." As the pair reached the upper deck, they saw it, the main nullborn mothership, descending silently from the stars. It looked like a black sea creature made of bone and liquid shadow. Dozens of long, jagged limbs spread from its body. A single white core pulsed in its chest. It wasn't just technology. It was alive. Saorin's face turned pale. "It's the Harbinger." "The what?" Daniel asked. "The first of their kind. It created the cleansing program that cursed me. That killed my people. It is the source of everything they do." Daniel looked up at it and felt no fear, just anger. "They want to erase us." He stepped forward. "Then let's show them why we matter." The unexpected attack. Suddenly, the Harbinger released its drones, hundreds of black spheres that moved like liquid bugs. They swarmed toward the base. Sirens screamed. Lasers fired. But nothing stopped them. Until Saorin stepped forward and screamed. It wasn't a normal scream. It was pure energy, a beam of light from her heart. The drones exploded like dust in wind. Her body glowed with new fire. Her voice echoed across the entire station. You stole from me. You cursed me. But I am not your creation anymore. The Harbinger paused. It had heard her. And for the first time, it spoke. The Harbinger's voice. The words weren't sound. They were emotion. Cold. Metallic. Final. You are not evolution. You are a failure. You must be erased. Sci stood tall. I am not evolution, she said. I am human choice. The fusion. Daniel stepped beside her. I can't fly. I can't blast things like you. But I have something else. He placed his hand on her shoulder, and his body began to glow with her same golden light. The symbols from her skin spread onto his. Her power flowed into him, not to hurt, but to join. They didn't become one being, but one bond. A living fusion of logic and chaos, of alien structure and human spirit. Together, they rose into the sky. No ship, no armor, just light and purpose. The final blow. As the Harbinger fired its final weapon, a giant beam meant to erase time itself, Sci and Daniel flew into it head-on. Their combined energy collided with the blast. It wasn't science. It wasn't magic. It was love turned into light. And the light didn't block the beam. It rewrote it. Final scene. The Harbinger began to twist. Its dark shell cracked. The white core inside it flickered. For the first time in a billion years, it panicked. You broke the design, it whispered in dying pulses. You broke the code. Daniel held Sci hand as they floated in the quiet. We didn't break it, he said. We rewrote it. With a final pulse of light, the Harbinger collapsed into nothing. All over the moon, the drones dropped. The ships vanished. The sky turned blue again. And Sci whispered to Daniel, with tears of joy, you made me feel real. When a human breaks the universe's rule, silence. Not the kind that comes after war. The kind that comes after rewriting history. Above Lunar Base Station 17, the sky was still. The stars returned, blinking gently through the vast blackness. There were no black ships, no screaming alarms, no flashing warnings, just silence. And in the center of that peace floated two figures, glowing softly in golden light, hand in hand. Daniel Cross. Sci. The fall of the Harbinger. The Harbinger, the oldest of the Null-born, was gone. Not defeated in battle, not destroyed with force, but erased by connection, by something its creators never expected. A bond, a choice, a human's heart. The energy wave from its destruction didn't bring fire. It brought awakening. All over the moon base, systems returned to normal. Drones collapsed like broken toys. The warships vanished without trace. But something else changed too. The very laws that had ruled alien civilizations for millions of years were no longer perfect. One human had touched the untouchable, and the universe would never forget it. Back on the base, shock and awe. Commander Reyna stood on the landing pad, eyes wide. Troops and scientists gathered behind her, staring upward. As Daniel and Sci descended from the sky like two falling stars, no one moved, no one breathed. They touched down softly, hand in hand, surrounded by a golden ripple that shimmered for several seconds before fading. Sci eyes, once silver and dangerous, were now calm, almost human. She looked around. I feel everything, she whispered. Dr. Halden stepped forward. What are you now? Sci smiled gently. I'm still me, but I'm no longer cursed. I'm free. Daniel's message. Daniel looked at the group. His uniform was torn, his face dirty, but his voice was clear. You wanted to cage her, he said, to test her, to fear her. He paused. But she was never the danger. Fear was. A long silence followed. Then, a soldier, shaking, lowered his weapon and stepped back. One by one, The others followed. And in that moment, a truth spread across the base like a new sun rising. The age of fear was over. Across the galaxy, shockwaves. Far away, in galaxies the humans hadn't even discovered yet, other civilizations watched the signals from the Harbinger's death. Silent halls filled with whispers. Old species with long memories blinked in disbelief. "She touched a human," one asked. "And lived," said another. A final voice, ancient and cold, echoed through a star chamber. "The code is broken. Evolution has chosen a new path. We must prepare for the age of humanity." 2 days later, the ceremony. Back on Earth, a celebration was held in Daniel's honor. But Daniel didn't wear medals. He didn't give speeches. Instead, he stood beside Saurin in a green field outside the city. The air smelled like rain. Her feet touched grass for the first time. She laughed. It was soft, awkward, real. "I like this feeling," she said, looking down at her toes in the soil. "It's called mud," Daniel chuckled. "Most people hate it." "Then I must be very human," she said with a grin. He looked at her with quiet pride. "You're more than human. You're the bridge. The one who showed us what we could be." The offer. Later that evening, the Earth Council offered Saurin a home, a place to live, to learn, to belong. But she declined. "I'm not ready to stay," she said. "Not yet." "Why?" they asked. She turned to Daniel. "Because there are others like me. Trapped, forgotten, cursed. I need to find them." Daniel looked into her eyes. "Then I'm coming with you." The room went silent. "You'd leave Earth?" one leader asked. Daniel shrugged. "I already left the moment I touched her. The final goodbye. For now." At the edge of Earth's atmosphere, a small golden ship, gifted by the awakening beneath the moon, waited. As Daniel and Saurin stepped inside, she turned once more to look at the planet below. "So much noise," she whispered. "So much pain. But also, so much light." Daniel placed a hand on the control panel. The ship responded to their bond, powering up like it had been waiting just for them. As they rose into the stars, a message was sent to every human, every station, every world watching. One human changed the rules of the universe. Not by force, not by weapons, but by reaching out. Final scene. A new beginning. Somewhere far from Earth, in a quiet corner of the galaxy, a young alien girl floated inside a glass cage. Her skin glowed faint blue. Scientists stood outside, whispering, "Don't touch her. She's cursed." Then, suddenly, the wall cracked. A golden light poured in. The girl blinked and smiled, because she had seen it. A vision. 2 figures, one human, one not, flying toward her, hand in hand, bringing light, bringing change.